Okay, in this video we're going to put together our snowman and snowflake ornament gift box. And I did a little pre-prep before hitting record here. We're using a lagoon color, or this really soft blue, and with all these pieces here, I did a little bit of inking with some turquoise to kind of blend the white onto the blue here, so it gives it a little bit more of a soft touch, so it's not such a harsh contrast, even though it's not a harsh contrast, but the inking will just kind of give it a little extra pop. And I just want to show you what I did here. I took all of the white panels, we did all these in glitter, and then there's some dotted patterns. I think these are Echo Park papers. Just took my my ink applicator, which is my favorite because I don't like too much ink. I don't like that really noticeable harsh ink. I like my inks soft. And all I did was just dab my little pad here and just brushed the edges gently. Just scraping the surface a tiny little bit, just so a little bit gets on the surface. So it's just kind of feathery and subtle. Okay, so just went around the perimeter of all of the white pieces. And you know, the more ink you put down on this thing and the harder you press, the more you're going to get on your surface. So it's always helpful to grab a scrap piece of paper, preferably in the color that you're using, and experiment a little bit with different applicators, different pressures, different amounts of ink on your pad, and see what kind of result you get. I just know from experience how to achieve the consistency that I'm looking for, and I just kind of like to repeat that. There's a time and a place for me anyway, and this is all personal preference, when to put down more ink, when to put down less ink. Overall, as far as what I like aesthetically, I like things very subtle and uniform. Okay, so that's kind of what I'm doing, just really quick motions. Definitely getting the edge, but also working that applicator onto the surface slightly. Okay, and I don't know if you can really tell in the video. I don't know if the light's really picking it up very well, but it's just a very subtle application of ink. Okay, so I've got my panels nice and inked. All right, and then here are the main components of our box. And if you watched the video for the Christmas tree, it's basically the same general idea as far as the design goes. I should say the structure, the design, obviously, instead of a Christmas tree with little holly leaves and berries, we've got a snowman. So I'm just going through and folding everything at the score marks just to get everything nice and prepped. And then we're going to go ahead and begin putting our little panels in place and dressing up our snowman. Okay, so we've got the two pieces here in front of me. This is the snowman's outfit, which we'll get to here in a little bit. So we're going to begin by gluing our snowflake to the front, and just kind of practice real quick so you get where it goes. And of course, it's pretty self-explanatory. You're just going to be placing it on there over the basic design there that's part of the structure of our box. Just making sure that you're getting that nice and precisely lined up. So go ahead and get your glue on your piece and work a little bit onto the actual snowflake. Okay, and most importantly, get that glue out to the edge. And there we go. And just press that down. Make sure that you've got it nice and lined up. And work that perimeter. Make sure that the edges are nice and intact and flush. And you can see here that the little bit of inking we did gives it a very soft, subtle touch. Just exactly what I was looking for. Okay, so the front and back are going to have glitter. The sides are going to feature this little polka dot pattern. So let's get that glued down. Get that glue out to the edges. And I'm going to spread that a little thinner. There we go. And just line that up as best as you can. Make sure you've got a nice even border going all the way around. Get those edges down nicely. Okay, that looks great. Okay, now let's take a look at our little snowman guy here. And you want to make sure that you grab the right piece because these are mirrored. So make sure you grab the right one and fold this piece in. We're going to get this bottom part glued down first, and then we're going to glue our little snowman in place. Now the snowman is flush at the top, and we do have a little border starting at his head, working on down. So let's get our glue on the bottom of this here. Make sure you get that glue out to the edges. And if you pop this up a little bit, as you're placing this down, you can kind of use that natural little corner there to guide you in getting that right into place correctly. And also make sure that you adjust this left and right there, making sure that you've got that nice and matched up, because there is no border up there. That should be flush. Okay, that's how you know you've got it in the right spot. And you can also go ahead and fold this over a little bit. Okay, all right, now we want to go ahead and glue the actual snowman portion down. Okay, so work your glue down his frosty little bod and get that glue out to these little details here. And get that glued into place. Now do this, making sure that you kind of keep this bent. Okay, and that looks perfect. Okay, nudge that down just a tad. Okay, there we go. It's going to be resting like this at this angle, so we want to make sure that that stays nice and glued for us. Now, while he's drying, I'm going to flip this over and grab my acetate sheet. Now, if you don't have acetate, remember that your cutting mat has a little protective piece of plastic. You can use that, or if you have like a folder, one of those sheet protectors, you can use that. Just get your glue on the inside of this, add a little bit on the actual snowflake, and just push that down. Let that dry. It's going to give us a pretty little window to display or look through to see our little ornaments. Okay, that looks really pretty. All right, let's dress up our snowman now. He's got himself a tie. He's got himself a hat with a cool little band on it. And you want to make sure that actually all the pieces are the same, so it doesn't matter. Okay, so we've got our hat, the band, and we have his tie, and then there is a little mouthpiece. Okay, so a really tiny piece for his mouth. His eyes and his nose, we're going to use rhinestones to create. So what we can do is put glue on the back of the little hat band. Okay, and glue that down to the actual hat. Right about there. So the bottom of this is going to be just below this little corner here. Okay, as far as placement goes. So just keep that in mind. And then we can go ahead and put glue on the actual hat itself. And now we're going to be gluing this to glitter, so it may need a little extra time to set, and you may need to throw a little extra glue on there, but get that right in place and just push that down. Let's make sure we've got it lined up properly. And you're really going to have to hold that down if you're gluing on glitter. It's like gluing paper to plastic, which can be a little challenging at times, but it's definitely doable. And just hold that in place until it sets. And you see there, it did not like that at all. So I need to throw down more glue. Glitter's great when it's the top layer. When you add paper to the top of it, it can get a little challenging. But as long as you get it in place immediately and then apply your pressure and hold it down. If you have a really thick book or something, you may just want to throw that on top of it. Okay, but don't let go until you're sure it's completely dry. Otherwise, it's just going to peel right off. Okay, so aside from his mouth, again, we're going to do the nose, and there's one eye because he's got his hat kicked to the side, covering up one of his eyes. So we're throwing one eye on there and a nose. We're going to glue the mouth down and the tie. You're going to do that twice, obviously, because there's another snowman on the other side. So whatever I do to this snowman here, you're going to repeat on the other side. I think I got it that time. And that's on there nicely. Let's see, is it trying to peel away? No, it looks good. Okay, so the mouth is right here. Tiny little mouthpiece there. Let's actually put the tie on first because that's going to help us position our mouth. Okay, so get your glue on here. Remember, if you're doing this on glitter like we are, make sure you add a little extra glue and a little extra time. Okay, so you can see these two little bumps right there. That is to help you with the alignment of the tie. And just pop that in place and hold it down. I'm gluing this flat. If you want, you can kind of train the bottom of the tie out to give it a little dimension. It's up to you. I'm going to throw a little rhinestone in the middle of his tie, kind of bling it up a little bit. Okay, just being patient while this glue sets onto the glitter. Okay, super cute little snowman. All right, so that looks good. Now, I have my pick-me-up tool here somewhere. I would use it, but I don't. So I'm just gonna hold that in my finger. Let me clean off my glue tip. And I'm just gonna put a couple tiny little dots on his mouth here. And because I've got white glitter, if you put too much glue on here, it's not the end of the world because it'll hide nicely. So use the tie as your center point and just get that nice and centered, just slightly above the tie there, and just press that and hold that down. to get his little mouth in place. And again, I'm going to throw some bling on there for his eyes, and that is looking cute. So you're going to repeat that process on the other side here. I don't need to walk you through that. You can do that. But let's continue on here and get the other side. Let's get the other side assembled here. So again, front and back are going to feature the glitter. The sides are going to have this dotted pattern. So I am putting my glue on. Okay, get that out to the edge there. The glue has been very inconsistent today. All right, nice and centered, nice even border all the way around. And push and hold, let that dry. It's gonna be a really cute box. I know a lot of you make ornaments with your vinyl, or even if it's not vinyl. I've seen a lot of cool ornaments, and even if you order one, maybe it's a baby's first Christmas, a couple's first Christmas, a new home, whatever it is, giving ornaments seems to be very popular. And this is a wonderful way to give that gift by creating a nice little custom box, handmade, to present your handmade gift. A handmade gift inside of a handmade gift. I'm sure they will love how unique this box is. You can't find anything like this anywhere, I guarantee it. All right, so let's get our other panel on here. Nice and centered, nice even border. Work that perimeter, make sure that's not peeling back. Let it nice and flush. And that inking is really nice, actually. Okay, there we go. And you know what I forgot over here was this little panel here. Right, that goes right there. Let's get that glued in place. That is completely flush up against that little flap there. There is no border on that, but what you do want to make sure is that you do not obstruct the little notch on the base of this thing, because that is where the little piece is going to go in to keep this thing closed. Okay, so I'm just folding that over. Make sure that I've got it nice and lined up, which I do. I think that looks good. Okay, and let's get the other side down here. And should probably take you about 30 minutes maybe to construct this, but if you think about it, you could spend 30 minutes at the store driving to find a box, or 30 minutes shopping for a box. And if you can do it yourself and save some gas money, save yourself the stress of going out into the crowds. And again, the only thing you're going to find out there is probably mass-produced stuff. Why not do it yourself? Especially if it's nice and quick. Okay, so get that other panel on there, and let's finish up our other snowman here. Okay, so remember that we're going to glue the bottom part down first. Just make sure that when you get this aligned, you scoot this over a little bit until the hat section is nice and flush. All right, so let's get our glue onto the bottom here. Get that glue onto the edge. Like so. And I'm lifting this up to kind of use it as a guide. I'm just aligning it here, and then getting it aligned here at the bottom. And that looks good. Go ahead and push. All right. There we go. So remember, you'll need to dress up the snowman as I did the first time. So just repeat that process. And then we're going to peel Mr. Snowman back here. Just cover them in some glue. All the way down into his little arms. And don't forget the little details down here. You don't want those peeling back. There we go. Okay. And then push that down, get that right on there. Okay, and I'm going to do it this way so I can maintain this bend here. And just, if you need to nudge it a little bit, nudge it a little bit. If you have a little bit of blue sticking up by the hat, it's not the end of the world. It will still look nice, and the inking that we did will kind of soften that a little bit. Okay, so don't forget to dress up your snowman, just as I did here. Look for the final images on the website for more details on what else you can do to this thing to dress it up as far as bling goes. And we are going to do a bow for this, and there'll be a separate video for the bow. All right, but at this point, we're going to go ahead and join these two pieces together, and we're going to do so by putting glue on this large tab here. Get some glue right on there, one nice line right up to the edge. Get that, I'm going to spread that all the way up to the edge. Get that. There we go. And can you work flat here? Just make sure that you've got it butting up against that score mark. You don't want to go over it. You want it right next to it. So it's almost like so you can see half of it. That would be the ideal location. Okay, once this is partially set, flip it like this onto itself and then push down here. And just hold that for a few seconds and let that dry. You can run your finger along the edge here, and that will indicate whether or not you've got it lined up correctly. And then if you take a look at these tabs down here, they should be flush. Okay, you shouldn't have one sticking out. They should be completely flush. That is an indicator that you've got this thing perfectly aligned. Okay, now what we can do is we can close this in like that, close this in like that, and get this part glued down flat. Get your glue on this tab here, all the way out to the edge there. Spread that thin. Okay. There we go. You can lay that down and just fold this piece over. It should meet perfectly. Okay. And I'm just going to squeeze and push that down, and then you can kind of go like this and add more pressure here. Now, sometimes if you add too much pressure with just your finger, you can kind of dent things. So I'm using my palm. It more evenly distributes that pressure. Okay. All right. So there is our box so far. It's going to close like this. Just like that. It's really cute. There's just like that. It's really pretty box. Look at all that glitter, just makes it look like we're in a winter wonderland. Okay, so for the bottom, you've got these two pieces of paper. Okay, one has a little L cut into it. That is your liner piece. That is going to go inside after we assemble the actual bottom. So add your glue to this tab here. Get a little bit out to the edge. And I'm doing the front because that is the side that people are going to be looking at the most. And I want that side to be perfect. So we're going to take this piece, the one that does not have the L on it, and get it nice and lined up, nice and even and flush with this area here. And we're going to slightly push down. Okay, and then we can put this flat on our table and push down from the inside to get that to hold nicely. We should have a nice clean seam there. That's gonna kind of set the tone for the rest of the assembly on the bottom. You can see how nice that looks there on the bottom. Nice clean seam. And we can go ahead and close this up now by putting glue on the remaining tabs. Okay. And I'm just working with this thing without jostling it around too much. Now keep in mind, when I'm doing these videos, it is a little more difficult for me to do this because I have to keep my face out of the camera. I know typically when I craft and I'm not on camera, I try to bring this up to my face as close as I can so I can see all the little details and just make sure that I'm getting everything done properly. So if I can do this and make these final versions that you see on our website without giving it, or without the freedom of getting my face in there, you can definitely do this. Okay, so close the bottom up here and just run your finger along the edges here. And if we make a little boo-boo and we don't get all the seams nice and perfect, I'll show you how we can clean this up. Okay. Let me just grab a piece of paper here. Kind of showed this in our last video. Just going to cut out a little strip of paper. I'm gonna start calling this my pH tester, because that's what it reminds me of every time I cut one of these out. Okay, and I'm just going to grab an old applicator pad, throw a little bit of glue on there. I don't think you can even see that. There it is. And I'm just going to dab the bottom of this with a little bit of glue, so it's just on one side. And now you see here this seam that I didn't get glued down very well. I'm going to stick this tab in here, or my little pH tab, pH strip, and I'm just going to paint some additional glue onto the bottom side of that. Ooh, whoa. And just push that down and just hold it, applying pressure until it's completely dry. And that's going to finish this off nicely to make sure that that seam is nice and clean so you don't have anything unsightly. You want to make it as nice as possible. Take a few extra seconds and go through, and if you see any areas like that, they're so easy to fix. Only take a few seconds. You may as well do it. A job, I forget what the saying is. A job worth doing is a job worth doing right. Is that? I don't even know. I may have just made that up. They say 90% of quotes are made up on the spot, or those statistics. Either way. Okay. All right, so there is our box. That just leaves this little piece here. Well, also have a liner that we have to glue inside. Okay, so go ahead and put some glue on the actual tabs inside. Take your liner piece and pop it in there. That's for extra reinforcement. And that just leaves this piece here. Okay, what you want to do is fold this and glue the little triangular tabs to their neighbors like this. So we're going to glue that to its neighbor. You're going to repeat that 3 more times until all the sides are glued together. And we're just going to pop that inside of our box, and that is what's going to hold your ornament. You may want to add a little bit of crinkle fill in there. That will prevent your ornament from sliding around. And then also look for a separate video for how to make the bow for this and for the Christmas tree ornament. Okay, so last but not least, get that glued. Okay, so our little ornament holder piece is in there nicely, ready for its ornament. And you're just going to close the box up like this. Just like that. There we go. And again, we're going to jazz this up with some rhinestones, and also make sure, again, to finish off your snowman on the back, and look for the video for the bow. And that's pretty much it. Another super cute box.
Stay on top of all things Dreaming Tree and engage with us today. Get the latest news and enter in our giveaways on Facebook. Get inspired by following us on Pinterest. Be the first to see our new product launches on Instagram. Do you prefer Twitter? Yep, we're there too. Watch our beautiful product trailers and assembly tutorials on YouTube. For more information, visit www.3dsvg.com. Live, craft, love, and dream.